And we are live, WrestlePurists Worldwide, hosted by myself, Joe Hulbert, backup Hangman, Ibu of WrestlePurists, back again, Worldwide Trio. You know what it is. We've been putting in them big shifts lately. You know, we did the free streams yesterday, and got another busy week, AEW Revolution week. We got a few things to talk about as well. We'll recap the weekend real quick as well. We'll do all those things that you used to, but yeah, man. Gonna get into it. First things first, please like, subscribe, send any super chats with any questions, any takes, any opinions, any predictions, anything at all. We'll get them read out as soon as we can. Turn on the post notifications. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Starting with my fellow co-host Joe Hall, but what's going on?
Nothing much, man. I'm still recovering from last night's shenanigans, I'll say. Fiasco, maybe will be more fitting. I'm still recovering. You can probably tell my voice. Not the man I used to be, but I'm here to make the town nonetheless.
Long after party.
It was tough, but worldwide is, you got to make worldwide. That's just, it's tradition. Wrestling heritage, So you're right, we are going to take it easy. I do want to warn everyone now that I look at the title for this video, like, bro, we ain't doing it. There's not going to be any insight on this show. Bro. Yeah, this is going to be, honestly, this is going to fucking suck, and I can't wait. I'm excited.
I think we'll make something of it, We'll make something of it. Ibu, backup Hangman, what's going on with you?
What's going on is I'm in here with a couple. It was what's going on here, man? The road is the road, brother. I'm as energetic as ever. I'm not feeling nothing. I did 2 shows yesterday. I could have done a 5-hour space afterwards, and I'm back today. I'm refreshed. I'm feeling good. I had me a nice hot shower, and yeah, man, I'm here to talk some graps. Then I'm going to watch some graps live. Then I'm going to watch some old graps after that. Then I'm going to do some fucking push-ups. Then I'm going to wake up and do another stream tomorrow. This is the life of the fucking road, baby. This is the grind. # strive for greatness, LeBron James. Let's do this thing, As for tonight's show, it's probably going to suck.
Joe just shaking his head like, nah, that's not for me, man.
I don't do PEDs. I know what that did to the grapples for yesteryear, but Ibu's into that kind of thing. That's fine. We'll see.
I'm pointing at my goosebumps in my forearm right now.
Hey, man, you see the thumbnail?
Yeah.
See the thumbnail?
Yeah, I saw it. It's good. I mean, it's a great thumbnail. It's just, our title is The Rock's love for the game.
Hey, man. we got to talk about it. Let's go straight into it. Let's talk about The Rock's love for the game, as he has announced on his Instagram that it was already announced that he's going to be on SmackDown this Friday, but he's also included 2 other dates in his Instagram post. So we get in basically the next 3 weeks, including this week. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, SmackDown, 3 in a row. Who would have thought it, Joe Hulbert?
Well, I'm worried, and here's for why. If he shows up regularly, is there not a chance that he kills the Goosebumps bit? Because, I feel like part of the Goosebumps, I could be wrong, I've never asked Dwayne, but it feels like part of the Goosebumps is the fact that it's kind of like a rare thing when he shows up, right? And the place pops, and it's Dwayne, and he comes out and does the thing. But if he's there every week, do the Goosebumps end, Ibu of WrestlePurists, or do they simply expand? You tell me.
Well, they're going to expand, obviously.
Really?
Absolutely. Okay. This guy had $7 in his pocket, Joe.
I've heard that on occasion, yeah. Do we think he keeps with this gimmick, where he sort of has like a gun?
I think he corrects it. All,
yeah, I think
he corrects.
He has 3 tries to fix that. So I'm saying by the second SmackDown, he'll do the right one.
Really? Do you not think it's law? Do you know he's going for law with that?
No, someone predicted this. Someone was like, notice how Dwayne was standing perpendicular to Roman Reigns when he was saying whatever the fuck he was saying about Cody. And they're like, what if this is an inside job and Rock is working in conjunction with Cody and da-da-da-da, and that's a gun intentionally because he's not really with the bloodline. He's with his own little group. It's like, all right, bro.
That's the worst case scenario. That's the most boring. Like, if it's explained that when he whispered to Cody, he was just saying, like, watch the clothesline, brother. Yeah, or whatever. That would be the lamest thing ever. It would be way better if Dwayne was just an actual like insane.
Joe,
villain.
what if there's a Splinter Cell operation within the bloodline, and Roman has his own subgroup that he's forming, and they're gonna do the gun symbol? Like, what if like Jacob and Zilla walked in, and then like they beat up the other Samoans, and they throw up a bunch of guns up, and it's like...
I'm wrong. The actual worst case scenario
is that
is the Seth freaking is a heel one when the one where he turns on Cody. No, that's the worst scenario. I think I'd just give up at that point.
Yeah, I actually agree. To be honest, if that is kind of if that was like the big payoff in like the Mania Cody Seth alliance thing, then Jesus Christ, like. But as far as it goes, I'm enjoying Dwayne's. He's not made too much of an embarrassment of himself anytime just yet. Still time. Don't
count him out yet. He's got 3 weeks to work on that. But some of the material is going to be unfortunate in it. But it is what it is, and it's Dwayne. I love DJ.
DJ. I was saying it to Joe just before we went live, bro. Look, it's funny. It's funny. It's funny how easy it is for these big stars to actually be at work when they want to be. When they actually want to be there, it's just like boof. 3 SmackDowns in a row, Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Yeah, like when you really think about it, they're like, schedule, and Roman's he's around barely, and then it's like Dwayne actually cares about wrestling. He's like, 3 SmackDowns, yeah, I can do 3 SmackDowns, and it's like, yeah, just fucking fly in, like, you know what I mean? Like,
he doesn't have to get there earlier or either, because I was saying to Monty, no one's gonna give him shit to say, so he can literally show up like within hours of the show, within a couple of hours of the show.
When the gender thing was figured out in a helicopter with Brian Gewirtz in that Raw Day 1 segment thingy, he was in the helicopter with Brian, just figured out what he was gonna do, flew in, got there like before TV started, and just did it. He can literally leave after his segments.
So we're definitely gonna get the bloodline rock locker room thing they have, the kind of lair they have where they plan and plot. We're gonna get like a tremendous backstage kind of play call situation with Jim Uso, right? That's that's inevitable, right?
Did anybody catch the one they did on this week's SmackDown with him and Roman?
I did not know.
People like to do the thing of Ibu hates fun, but I gotta say this Jimmy Roman thing is starting to pop me. It's starting to get really funny. He was doing this thing where he was like, "Hey, Oos, you saw what I did to Jay on Monday, Oos? You saw that, Oos?" And Roman's like, "Yeah, no, I saw that. That was interesting. Who called that play?" And he's like, "It was Paul Lee, Oos. Paul Lee called that play." And Roman's like, "Nah." And he's like fake laughing. He's like, "I call the plays here." And then Jimmy gets all nervous and shit. And then he's just kind of like, "Nah, I'm playing. It was good, bro. It was good shit." And then he looks like he's about to dab Jimmy. Jimmy puts his hand out, and then Roman just immediately gets serious again and turns back to Heyman. And I was like, "Oh my god!" The facial acting in the scene was really, really funny. So yeah, Jimmy kind of popped.
Teach you down at the PC, brother.
I guess so. He out of the two dumb, Raw and SmackDown both have their designated dumb guy that's supposed to make you laugh between R-Truth and Jimmy Uso. And I'll say that the funnier of the two dumb guys right now is Jim Uso.
Good. Great. What a great honor.
Yeah, right? Best dumb guy. Honestly, in every year-end award, there should be a funniest wrestler award, I think. Genuinely. Because
could you imagine Ospreay would try and win that too? Oh, could you imagine the spots he would place into his matches just to try and win it?
I don't think he'd do that.
It's an award, bro. He wins every award. Maybe.
Who would have won 2023?
Yeah, who would have won the WrestlePurists 2023 funniest wrestler of the year?
Bronson Reed.
Nana's the funniest person in wrestling to me because of the dance.
Very funny. Yeah,
he's very funny. We in the money. But as a wrestler, I'm not sure. Who's the funniest?
Who's actually funny, genuinely funny?
That's a hard one. Not that many people.
There's definitely a lot of wrestlers that are unintentionally funny.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Cody Rhodes is like hysterical, and I don't think he knows why necessarily, but
The funny, oh my God, Joe, when he came back at the Rumble last year and he was in a press conference and he just drinks a sip of Mountain Dew and he's like, God, I love Mountain Dew Pitch Black. And I was just like,
yeah, he's ridiculous. Juice Robinson's a good suggestion. Juice is quite funny. Juice is good too because he makes it part of his like wrestling package. You know?
It's Christian Cage. It's probably Christian Cage is the funniest wrestler.
Yeah.
Christian Cage.
Christian Cage. Yeah, that's a funny wrestler. Not Danhausen. I don't know who put that in the chat. No, it was Caden, fucking freak. I'm blocking you, Caden. Let's see who else we got here.
Yeah,
someone said Gato.
In the chat.
Someone said Gato.
Kevin Owens. I liked Kevin Owens' bit where he would like hate the format of wrestling television. That was a good
fun bit. That was a fun bit.
John Cena's a good show. John Cena.
He's funny,
show.
bro. Every time he takes his hat off, he's funny. Now that's just crazy.
That shitty like fucking like TV news reporter hairdo with a bald spot in the back.
He is actually the funniest because everything he does is funny, and it's just the way he reacts to things. Everything
he has to yell in agony when he sells and shit. Like, Oh my God! Who? Let me think about this. Someone said Solo Sikoa. Solo's not that funny.
CM Punk had a very funny 2023.
He's funny in a different way. Yeah. He's
the actual funniest. The two funniest Punk things in the last like 18 months is like the press conference itself, and and his first Collision promo where he called himself One Bill Phil, the true genuine article in a world of fake bucks. It was like
another funny Phil moment was his face walking out the tunnel at Wembley Stadium. That was pretty funny too.
What a fucking nut job. And when he walked out, he's kind of waving away to people and shit. Like
he did a salute to all four sides of the building. I remember standing next to my brother at Wembley and I was like, you know what, bro? I think he's done. Like, he's going to retire. And he's like, really? Why'd you say that? I said, he's saluting all four sides of the building. And then about 20 minutes later, my phone got like connection to Wi-Fi or whatever and was like, oh, no, never mind. He just had a fight. No, I'm my bad. I thought it was like an emotional moment. He said a fist fight.
He's just like, oh, I'm getting fired. Yeah, I'm going to get fired. Oh, man. He was telling people close to him after that it was a good career. Which is objective.
Hell of a ride, brother.
Saying that after
lived that is... loved it. You
know? Someone said Otis. I will say, out of the wrestlers that try to attempt to be funny with shtick, the Otis, he does amuse me. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea. I think he amuses
Big OG.
He can be very funny, bro.
Gallows Anderson.
I'll never forget when in a backstage thing, I think it was Kenny Omega's first TNA episode that I unfortunately sat through in full. There was like a pre-tape where he's like in the fucking trailer with Don and like I think the Good Bros are there, and I just remember like Gallows is like, Biz Clisme, brother, and for the flute. I was just like, what the fuck? Biz Clisme, brother. Luke Gallows is the most like 1985 wrestler that didn't wrestle in 1985. You know? Like, why does he feel like he'd be riding around with Michael Hayes? You know?
If he was around in the Monday Night Wars era, he'd have jumped back and forth like 8 times with new gimmicks. And, like, none of them would have got over. But he would have had a feud with Taker in like 96 for some reason, and it would have fucking sucked. It would have rolled, dude. Yeah.
Easy, let me tell you something, brother. Easy E got me a insurance plan. This is the big LG, and he's in the NWO.
He definitely would have been in the NWO.
100%. 1000%.
Kevin Nash in a backstage segment like, hey, LG, come here. No, it's not a rib. It's not a rib. Come here, LG. You know, and they're just fucking around with him backstage. Oh my god. He would resurface on the Fed in like 98 and shit. Like, and it would have been Undertaker like, the Ministry of Darkness has added another member, Gallows. He will be, and then it's a 6-man tag, and it's like the Acolytes and Gallows versus like fucking the Brood or some shit, and it's fucking Christian Edge and Gangrel, a star and a half.
Yeah, star and a half. Yeah,
Star and a half.
Star and a half.
Some sick uppercuts from LG.
But yeah, man, Dwayne Johnson.
He's doing 3 straight SmackDowns. That's kind of crazy.
It is, man. It is. And yes, I feel like it's fair to say, since we're on the subject, and how often do we get to talk about Dwayne Rock Johnson, but,
Last 3 worldwides.
After that SmackDown, when it became clear he was going to be around for WrestleMania, and of course, in that moment with Cody stepping away and the face-to-face with Roman, there was some cause for some very valid worrying about The Rock being out of touch, wanting to shoehorn his way into things, not knowing the game anymore, whether he's going to be bothered when he is around. But literally every step of the way since then, we have been given some encouragement after encouragement after encouragement, some, not all, but some,
Some, yeah.
But yeah, I thought he was great at the kickoff event. Clearly, obviously, he's turned heel, but in a way that wasn't like super cartoonish or anything. That comes a bit later. But in terms of like what made him heel, what was the catalyst of making him heel, that was, it wasn't super cartoonish, roll your eyes, rock stuff. It was well done. But yeah, some people were worried about how regularly he'll show up. We're getting 3 in a row. It's
There's definitely there's room for the press conference showed a version of this character that would be fresh and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The SmackDown segment was much more like playing hits, which is fine. Yeah, it's the first segment, but I'd like to see him tap into that kind of. He could be quite menacing. His frame right now, especially. So I think that's that's the direction I would go personally. We'll see.
I agree. I'd like to see that. The first SmackDown promo worked as a reintroduction to this version of himself, and I'd like him to build off of that with more substantive stuff for the storyline. And so that would mean, touching on. I think expanding on what he did at the presser, where he got in Cody's face, would be a good start. I'd like to see him go face to face with Triple H, because Triple H did open up that door with the whole I'm the one running things here. So you kind of have to have an interaction with Paul Levesque and The Rock. And that could result in an extremely funny 20-minute talking segment that we'll spend 40 minutes on worldwide. And I'd like to see that. We have to get Cody on one of these TVs to just go face to face with the guy. So we'll see what happens there. And the fact that he's doing this, I mean, I heard from people in the company like 2 weeks ago that like Rock is super invigorated by the presser. Like he was just so like jazzed up and inspired about wrestling as a whole. Like after that presser, it just fired him up. And like, listen, when you're a guy who's 50 years old in a midlife crisis, and you've rediscovered your love, your love of the thing that you used to be great at. I mean, it makes sense for him to be like, that's a life is you want to keep getting that feeling again. You're going to chase that, right? And so it's for him. It doesn't really surprise that he's like, I got to get back there. I got to do it every week. You know what I mean? It makes sense because not that he didn't love wrestling when he came back in 2012, but when he was doing that return run a decade ago, he's a star that didn't really need wrestling, that WWE offered him and he had the opportunity. So it's like, all right, I'm doing this for you guys. And, it's a service to WWE. I'm giving back to the company that made me what I am. Whereas now it feels like there is some personal vanity attached to this. And that's not automatically a bad thing, because this midlife crisis is resulting in weekly Rock content, which, I mean, that's better than him not being around. I mean, it's good for my pockets. So.
Yeah. Absolutely, it is, brother. It's cool, man. I mean, we're all fans of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and
he's Seth Rollins.
Dude, I'm sorry, but that being controversial when you tweeted he's better than Seth Rollins is fucking insane. I'm sorry, guys. That's crazy, man.
I got legitimately like 200 plus tweets about it.
And I don't even like putting the Seth stuff, because we have fun at Seth's expense.
I think Seth is good.
Seth is a good professional wrestler, but like, there's way too many people that equate just move sets to. Too many people that equate move sets. Like, The Rock was a damn good professional wrestler, man. I'm sorry. He just was.
He was. Someone said Rock in his peak did not have the bag that 2015 Seth did. And I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, and let me be clear that what Seth said is not, I mean, wrestlers should talk shit. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the fan response to you tweeting that was like, you'd think you said something insane. It was quite wild, but.
But regarding Dwayne being back, I mean, it's Dwayne. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Goosebumps.
The goosebumps. Monty, what do you really want to see him do in these 3 weeks? What's an interaction you really want him to have with somebody?
I just want him to be spiteful.
It's gotta be this, Monty. We're gonna get some LA Knight, bro. We have to.
That would be funny as fuck.
Oh
bro.
my god,
him and LA Knight. Just
He's
even
like,
if it's backstage, bro, just something, you know.
The thing is, he's like heel now too. Could you imagine being like, "Hey, board member here, come here, Knight. Yeah, you got to stop saying that little catchphrase of yours. All right, change that fucking voice. You know what I mean?" And just like imagine if he did like, do you remember in 2010 that Hogan segment where he was just like, "If you don't draw, if you don't bring in ratings, then get out." Like, what if Rock was just power tripping and he's walking around like just telling people to do things, and he's just like, "Yeah, that Knight guy, get him out of my face. He's a fucking."
Well, him and Knight have like they go back a little bit, right? You're aware of their background?
Vaguely.
Yeah, like he was on, like Dwayne hosted like a reality show or a talent show. Someone in the chat will know, and LA Knight was on it. And like, there's some hilarious clips from it's like 10 years ago. So yeah.
just a man, Joe, LA Knight, because that's who he is. He's not gonna back down at Dwayne. He'll look him right in the eyes, and we'll be like, "Yeah." Rock will be like, "Who in the blue hell are you?" And he'll be like, "You're talking to the $1 million megastar." And he's like, "The $1 million megastar, huh?" And the Knight's gonna be like, "Yeah," and we'll be like, "All right." And they just the tension, and
Did you see he did a pre-show promo on whenever the show was that we just reviewed, Elimination Chamber? Did anyone see that?
No.
Dude, like just a graps promo. He had like 90 seconds, and the question was like, "Are you ready for the Elimination Chamber?" And he just hit every one of his catchphrases. Did he sing and got out of there? I was like, that is professional wrestling. Beautiful.
I saw him do some random, like one of those press junket things with like these like podcasters and one of these content creators, and they were like, "Hey, can you do a spot for me?" And he's just like, he's like, "Yeah, you're talking to the $1 million megastar, LA Knight, and we're here with the insert dipshit podcast here, $1 million megastar. Yeah, that's not an insult, that's a fact of life." And he walked off, and it was like, my God, like
he would fucking rule on this show, bro. We need to get him on Worldwide. Just the whole time, he just sits there. We just talk about how he's a good wrestling promo. He just nods.
We say that every week, bro, about someone. Yeah. We need to get him on Worldwide.
LA Knight would be money, dude.
He would scowl the whole time, and then we'd be like, did you hear his opinion when they asked him, "What do you think about this Cody Rock controversy?"
No.
He was like, they're like, "What do you think about hashtag we want Cody?" He was like, "I don't give a damn whether it's Cody, whether it's Dwayne, whether it's The Rock. I mean, whether it's Roman Reigns, they're going to get stomped out by the $1 million megastar at WrestleMania." Yeah. It's like,
there's no substance. He just says he's going to kick ass.
And that's a don't care LA Knight. Yeah.
Yeah. That's craps, dude. Okay. Everyone's crafting these like long-term towers of their triumph and tragedy, and LA Knight just like, I'm gonna hit my shitty finish and pin you in the middle of the ring, brother. Yeah.
You go to Sami Zayn, "What are your thoughts?" He's like, "Yeah, I feel like I've been obsessing with Drew McIntyre. And I just think that psychologically, I'm finding myself just very much just enraptured by this conflict that I'm engaged in. I just feel like I just need to just synergistically find my way out of this." And then Knight's just like, "Dummy." It's like, okay.
And both of those things are awesome, and we need them both to create a true professional wrestling product.
Yes, Sami Zayn acts like the spastic 1977 Woody Allen motherfucker, you know.
That was an insane sentence that you just said in every which way.
On screen, Annie Hall, Woody Allen.
Took like 3 violent turns.
That was, yeah. I thought you'd gone extreme, and then Woody Allen emerged, and I was like, wow, this was... Wow.
But
anyway...
Dwayne Johnson? No, I'm joking. We'll do some super chats, so I'll keep them coming in. We're going to get some super chats read out. And then, Yeah, let's talk about WrestleMania taking shape and whatever weird directions we go into, you know. Anyway, Karan, 100 rupees. Appreciate you as always. I hope you three are okay after yesterday. Currently rewatching Randy Orton versus Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series, where HBK isn't allowed to use Sweet Chin music. Kinda rocks.
Monty, have you seen this match?
Probably, but
I want you to
probably
picture
mixed in
how
with another one.
I want you to picture how 07 Shawn would sell attempting the Sweet Chin music and stopping himself before. Just visualize that. He's doing it, man. You can't do it, Shawn. You can't do it, Shawn.
Tortured mind, you know.
He pulls it up and he's just like, oh, fuck.
Looking at his hands and shit, you know. Like...
Randy's like, do it. He spits on him and Shawn's like,
Do you remember when he was when he refereed the Triple H Taker match?
Yeah, bro.
And he does the 1-2 and he's like, fuck, oh shit, man, I got count 3. You're the referee, bro. What the fuck?
Are you talking about the iconic like near fall?
Yeah, and he starts doing this thing in the corner,
No,
like he's on drugs.
He was like twitching in the corner, like fuck no, oh my god, and he's like pulling his hair back and shit.
The camera's like up his nostrils, getting his reaction to it, because like, oh fuck.
He's about to cry and shit. There's literally a point where like Triple H is dying and Taker's dying, and then like Shawn is just in the corner, like contemplating, like I think he's praying to God. I think he's like literally praying.
He starts praying, yeah.
And he did find God, you know.
It is a great near fall though.
You know what I got to say? I got to be honest, because when I was revisiting that stuff from my Mania review series, you know the realization I came to. The Shawn melodrama, when it's placed with other guys on NXT matches, it fucking sucks. When it's Shawn, it just works.
Yeah, it's Shawn melodrama.
It's like anytime a guy oversells, someone replies with like, weren't too good for Ric Flair though, with the Flair flop, and it's like, he's Ric Flair, you know, and the same thing applies there. It's Shawn Michaels, bro. Like it's different. It isn't Gargano or whoever. But yeah, I didn't even mean that to be spiteful. But you get what I'm saying? I didn't. I'm being good today. I'm just saying that when you think of NXT melodrama, you think of John Wrestling, don't you? That's just what you think. I'm innocent, folks. I'm innocent.
It's just crazy, bro. Like I was like those. Like you go to him like in like 03 and in 07, like he'll sell the back and he's just kind of like, oh my god, you know. And he's like looking up at the sky like in agony. And Jim Ross is like, oh my god, Shawn Michaels is back. His back. Oh my god, Triple H, you son of a bitch. Ah. He just wanted to fight out of it, you know. or when Shawn goes to in quotations with a trademark at the end, that place. You know, like,
we need to get Jim Ross, any version of Jim Ross, to call some of these new Randy Orton matches where his back's cooked.
Hey, bro, I was thinking about it. I'm like, this is gonna be the new Shawn's back, where like the match can be slow paced but be really engaging because it's like, fuck, his back. Oh my god, dude. But I was thinking about it. This would have been Jericho versus Shawn Michaels unsanctioned or Unforgiven 08. This is after Jericho punched Shawn's wife in the face for real. And like Shawn starts like whipping his Jericho with his belt and shit. And then like commentators like, oh my god, Shawn, like just I get it, Shawn, it's vengeance, but Shawn, have some humanity. And he's just like looking there and like his face is down and like his eyes are shadowed out and shit. And it's like, and like Michael Cole's like, Shawn's going to a dark place. And like he goes on his knees and starts making a prayer before finishing off Jericho. Like, oh my god. Nobody else can do this.
The drama. Anyway, Caden Lee, 199. Appreciate you as always. The latest addition to the WrestlePurists family. Gonna be providing some NXT coverage for the people. So shout out Caden, especially. He says he can't wait for another Verstappen championship. But yeah, shout out all the F1 fans, you know. Zay, 91.99, appreciate you as always. Cody versus Punk. Who's better all time? Punk.
CM Punk.
I think when it's all said and done, it could be a different conversation. But like
years ahead of him still.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Cody's got. I mean, this is if he does win the belt at WrestleMania, that starts like a new chapter in his career. Punk's career is pretty much done, and it's been an all-time great career. It's Punk right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's 10 years between them, right?
Cody's like 38, 37, and Punk is 45.
But Punk was adding pretty substantial pieces to his legacy as far back as 20 years ago. You know, so it's like their timelines are just entirely different.
Way different. They're in different.
Yeah, right now it's Punk. Yeah.
Cody feels like he's on the verge of like a 2-year run right now that's going to define his career, actually.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Well, you'd hope, Darren Walker, £5. Appreciate you as always. Ibu, can we have Rob do classic WCW 2000 reviews on every Tuesday Raw review show?
Not full on, but I'll touch on it and catch up with him and see where he's at with these things. So I'll give him 2 minutes a week, see how it's going,
Darian, $10. Appreciate you very much. Will Chisholm, $5. Appreciate you as always. Let's talk about Max Caster's freestyles. That felt like how that storyline is pure as.
He's fucking cooked them, bro. We'll say, get him out of here. Fucking, yeah.
I would like to see what Bowen's gotten,
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't think I can add anything to that super chat, to be honest.
Yeah.
He did say, let's talk about Max Caster's freestyle. Well, he forgot it, didn't he? He had a nightmare, hard to tell you. Will Chisholm, again. It pops me how he spells Brian like that every time.
Like Brian's with a Y, bro.
Will Chisholm, $5. Appreciate you again. Do Brian and Dave like women's wrestling because their takes be scary sometimes, and the way they can't let go of Mercedes and Naomi walking out is sad. I wouldn't say that they like women's wrestling. I wouldn't say that they don't like women's wrestling, but they do say some things that make me like. Not anything like actually like misogynistic or anything like that, but it's just kind of, I don't know. Sometimes there'll be a match that people are like getting into or like on the timeline and they'll just like bury it. And sometimes it feels like they go into matches just like ready to bury them,
Listen, I was listening to parts of their Elimination Chamber review before I came on here, and they're talking about the Women's Chamber, and Brian was like, that first half, that thing stunk. And Naomi was just really slow and just not very good with Becky in there. She just did not look good. And the beginning of the match, Brian's take was that the match didn't get good until Liv, Bianca, and Becky at the end. And I was like, Tiff did some nice things. And come on. But
it's a good match.
It was a good match.
I will concede, to be totally fair and transparent. I did not think it was Naomi's best night. I'll be fair.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those cases where that type of match highlighted like the biggest hole in Naomi's game, which is when she's trying to remember stuff, she has that face on of I'm trying to remember stuff, It was noticeable, I thought. And again, I mean, I didn't think it was I still liked as soon as Tiff came in, I liked it. But I did think Naomi looked pretty rusty in there, to be fair. Well, rusty's probably the wrong word because she's been wrestling. But you know what I'm saying. It wasn't her best performance.
Yeah.
But good match.
Yeah, I like the match.
It made our top 4.
It did, which means a lot, folks.
It does. That is the real battle. We don't throw around these 4.5s or some other star ratings.
I will admit
very famous and out there.
I will admit something. Go
on.
I got angry that Stuka Jr. versus Mascara Dorada beat Atlantis Jr. versus Hechicero. And for the first time in my life, in my entire career as a wrestling podcaster, I felt like I should have done a slight gimmick manipulation rating. I've never done that, never will. But I was like, I shouldn't have given Mascara's match 4. Fuck. Happens to the best of us. Speaking of which, I want a quick side note. CMLL is doing a really good job with positioning that kid as the next big thing. I think it's like slightly premature, but I'd rather a company be really driven with conviction about positioning a new guy prematurely rather than doing it too late and missing the boat. Noah was too late with Kenta and back in the day. Other promotions have been too late with their top guys. CMLL is giving this kid the torch, and they're doing it while Mystico is still the man, which is what you should do, because once Mystico is no longer the man, you can immediately just transition over to this kid who strategically was positioned in the last night of Fantastica Mania to main event over the Ultimo Guerrero Mystico match, and that was 100% for messaging purposes. So he's their guy, he's their big horse, and in about 3 years he will be firmly positioned as the ace of Arena Mexico's promotion.
Darren Walker, £2. Nick Aldis and Rock segment in the next 3 weeks.
Oh my god, could you imagine Nick Aldis with his broad shoulders in that suit just trying to puff up his chest to Dwayne, being like, oh, I run SmackDown, buddy. I don't know why I turned him into Jason Statham, but you know.
Mr. Hank, $1.99. Appreciate you. Rock and Roman winning the tag titles.
That would be fucking.
About that one.
That would be godly, though.
I'm not sure that's going to go for.
Are they going to wrestle the New Catch Republic on SmackDown?
Could you imagine a segment where Roman and Rock are in the ring and Roman's just like, they got us wanting to work these
the LWO.
He's like New Catch Republic, and he makes that like Roman smug face and Rock's.
Wait, hold on. There's a tag team that still is kind of on SmackDown.
Who?
The Good Brothers.
Oh
the Good Brothers versus The Rock and Roman Reigns.
Hey Dwayne, let me tell you something, brother. The big LG.
They're still kind of on SmackDown, right? Kind of.
No, they're double duty. Yeah,
double duty, bro.
Tribal Kev, $1.99. Appreciate ya. Rock has more memorable matches than Seth Rollins.
He's that dude, bro.
It's the Rock, you know.
It's the Rock.
It's the fucking Rock. You know?
I kid you not. If we did a project where we just watched every Rock TV match from 2000 in order, we'd go 3.5 or higher on like the majority of them. I'm not kidding. When you combine the heat, the pace, everything about it, his work, it's what you want out of your top babyface in wrestling.
He was very good.
Yes.
I hope he can still be very good, but these matches we're talking about were 24 years ago, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, Darren KG, $1.99. Appreciate you. I'm starting a Vader watch through tonight. Any recommendations?
Oh, boy.
Many recommendations. Ibu, you want to take the Japan part of this and I'll take WCW?
Hell yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. Okay.
All three famous matches with Sting immediately have to be circled, right? Bash 92, Starrcade 92, Super Brawl 93, Cactus Jack, Havoc 93, Clash of the Champions with Dustin Rhodes in 94. Incredible match.
Have to get a Dustin one in there.
On and Flair versus Austin and Vader, WCW Saturday Night, and I think 94,
It's godly.
Vader and Steamboat, Saturday Night in 93, I believe. And Vader and Flair, Starrcade 93. There's a handful. Ibu, take it away.
Hell yeah. Okay, so Vader, Big Van Vader, he was the fucking man. You should watch a lot of his famous matches from New Japan Pro Wrestling. You should watch his 1996 Tokyo Dome match with the Antonio Inoki. It's an incredible bout. It's pretty much Antonio Inoki's final. It's like his real last stand, even though he wrestled for another like year and a half or so. You should watch his G1 match against Keiji Muto, which is only available on FanCam. You should watch his tags with the Bam Bam Bigelow. Bam Bam Bigelow and Vader have a match against the Steiner brothers. It's one of the greatest Steiner matches I've ever seen. They have a match against Keiji Muto and Hiroshi Hase, which is fucking awesome. You should watch You should watch Vader's matches in All Japan Pro Wrestling when he came back in 1990, late 98, I want to say. He has 2 matches with Kobashi that are incredible. He has a match against Misawa in 1999, which is unbelievable. So I'd watch the Misawa matches, I'd watch the Kobashi matches, and I feel, even with all that I'm still forgetting something.
That's a good start, though. If you do all of those, you've had yourself a good night.
Oh, absolutely.
I will say, man, the return to Japan, like, it does deserve more respect in history, what he did there, because by the time he left the WWF, it looked like it was over, dude. Like he was so mentally just like it beat him up that run. So
and it's crazy because he goes right back into Japan, and it's understated how much he regains just everything about himself. It's like the way Dave will frame it is like he lost his confidence. He went to Japan. He's able to get some of it back, right? And I don't know how well it drew or things like I don't know. I'm not sure about the business metrics of like late 90s Vader in Japan. All I know is that from a wrestling standpoint, he came back and immediately just beat the dog shit out of Kenta Kobashi. And I think it goes a long way of restoring your aura and clout when you walk in and just beat the dog shit out of 1999 Kenta Kobashi.
I will say also, the Super Brawl match with Hogan is like genuinely underrated because of what they did afterwards and the way that Vader always talked about working with Hogan. But Hogan actually brought his working boots for that match. Super Brawl 95, I think.
He has no choice but to. You know, you have no.
Of course, because he's going to get whacked, right? He's going to get hit by Vader. So
did you mention Cactus Jack?
Yeah, I mentioned the Havoc match. There's a bunch of TV stuff too. But the Havoc one is the famous match, right?
You mentioned Flair, Starcade, right?
Yes, which if you watch the Flair Starcade match, you have to watch the whole. Within the show, there's like 4 segments building to the match. You have to watch all of them.
Monty, do you know what Bam Bam Bigelow was called in New Japan Pro Wrestling?
What was Bam Bam Bigelow called in New Japan Wrestling?
Crusher Bam Bam Bigelow.
Trouble Kev, 199. You can tell people's age. You can tell people's age with The Rock and Seth Rollins stuff. You can say that about any 2 wrestlers, to be honest. But, yeah, man. Anas the Stallion, the Sultan, the Stallion. Anas the Sultan, $2. Max Caster is 34 years old. Good info to have. I mean, I guess. Will Chisholm, $10. Appreciate it as always. It's crazy how in the last 8 months WWE had John Cena, The Rock, and CM Punk, and they all missed each other. We know WWE would have had a backstage segment with Punk and John Cena.
The Punk.
Hey, man.
I'm a big fan of the CM Punk. I think we could have a great match someday. You know, I'll defend my title against the CM Punk.
But yeah, they all missed it. It's just how it goes, you know. But at least they've all been around, you know. They're all around. But yeah, man, let's keep it moving. Keep the super chats coming. We'll get them read out as soon as we can. But yeah, WrestleMania is taking shape. That's what WrestleMania is taking shape. Obviously, Cody versus Roman, main event in night 2. You would assume. You got Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. Is Sami Zayn going to get added to that? I know Ibu was hoping that could be a possibility. How would you get there, Ibu? If we are adding Sami Zayn to this World Heavyweight Championship match at Mania?
Well, Montel WP, Samuel Zayn is in the middle of a very deep losing streak. He cannot move forward in his life and his career until he exercises the demon that is Drew McIntyre. The last time he faced the Shinsuke Nakamura, he lost because of Drew McIntyre. Sammy's doing this thing now where he's saying, I have to kind of put Drew in the rear view. And last week he said, I've got to put Drew in the rear view and I have to pivot and just not let him consume me and move forward. However, the week before that, in a very unsettled WWE way, they did this thing where Sammy was walking out to the ring for his match. Drew was blocking him and he said, you're in my way. And it was meant to be a literal and figurative thing. The bottom line is Drew McIntyre is the mountain in his life. And so what I would do is this. Drew's kind of bullying him. He's fucking with his matches, so on and so forth. Why don't we do a thing where, because they made a big deal out of this on commentary, Drew McIntyre, Sami Zayn has never beaten Drew McIntyre in his entire WWE career. Well, then why don't you do a match where maybe Sami does an all or nothing thing where he says, you know what, Drew? Fuck it. Let's wrestle one more time. If I beat you, I get in that WrestleMania match. If you beat me, whatever the fuck you want to do as a stipulation, I go away from WWE. I this, I that. You know, in Drew McIntyre's mind, it's like, oh, I can get rid of this fucking gnat on the bottom of my shoe. I'll do that. I always kick his ass. And then you finally give Sami the big win. He makes it into the title match. Is that still slightly convoluted? Yes, because the truth is, folks, there are very few actually non-convoluted sports-based ways to justify the existence of a 3-way match where 3 people are in a match. But something along those lines would be my way. He
That's
finally
fine.
McIntyre.
That works. That works fine. I think it's a more compelling match with him in it. Plain
Yes.
and simple. And if that's the case, when you're talking about WrestleMania, that should be the priority rather than like if it's entirely logical for Drew to make the decision you just explained. Like, it's fine. What you said works there. Drew and Seth as a one-on-one match, like for the belt, doesn't feel like WrestleMania to me. And if it is the match, I'm not going to be super critical of it because clearly this is a replacement thing for Punk anyway. So we get it, right? It's fine, but it doesn't feel like the match to me. I think Sammy's getting in this. I think Sammy's getting this match.
What I do know is that the whispers coming out of creative today, and they're being more tight-lipped now about some certain things. So, and I get it's Mania season, but the whispers is that Sammy's Mania direction will become clearer tonight, which to me feels like he's going to either crash. I don't know. Actually, he's wrestling tonight. We'll see. But yeah, the word is that we'll figure out tonight. I have this sneaking suspicion that it's possible that he's Gunther's opponent for Mania, and to that I would say, look, I'm never gonna like poo-poo a Gunther Sammy match because that would be incredible. But for the purposes of multiplying the amount of great matches at Mania, I'd move him to the title match, the world title match, so that Gable gets Gunther. And now we get 2 great title matches rather than one that I'm super into and one that I'm like, so.
Yeah, man. Listen, I always want to see Sami Zayn in big spots, It's been that way for a long time, so not mad at you. Not mad at you. It seems to make sense what Ibu's kind of, what he's trying to throw at us, Joe, So
Yeah.
And like you said, it makes it. He's definitely a more intriguing addition. So, and Seth versus Drew, I'm sure it would be a good match. They had a pretty good match last year. I know they've wrestled a few times recently, but still, it'd be a good match. But I think Sammy does bring, a more. It just makes it more intriguing.
He gives it some heart. I think he gives it and also because if Seth is actually going to be doing both of these matches, then his big match is going to be the tag match with Dwayne anyway. So like, Sammy would give this kind of emotional core, I think. So yeah, I would co-sign the suggestion personally.
Yeah, Cody Rhodes called out The Rock 1-on-1, but many still assume it's going to be a tag match. So I think we all agree on that. Still going to do the tag. We got Io versus Bayley. We got Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley. Those are both confirmed. Maybe Logan Paul versus Randy Orton or Kevin Owens. Joe thinks it will be a triple threat. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I feel like he's got to still be attached to Logan, I think.
Yeah,
and a triple threat's smart too, because as we've mentioned, Randy is, more efficient these days, more selective. So that'd be my suggestion.
Ibi, what do you think?
Regarding this Logan Paul deal?
Yeah, you think it'll be a triple threat, or do you think he wrestles Randy Orton or Kevin Owens?
I'd honestly just use Logan. Logan Paul's one of those characters that everybody has justifiable disdain for him. So I'd personally just do the multi-man thing with him to get other people on the card.
Yeah.
Only because if not, you have a bunch of like Mania matches with singles non-title SmackDown feuds that like most of those matches max out at being like decent. And we know WWE doesn't want to make their cards way too long. We know this. Last year they did, I think, one night I want to say they did 7 matches. The other night they did like 6 or 7. And so you create much more space by economizing things. But I don't know if that's the word, but by just taking a lot of those pieces and putting them in one match. That's not the most ideal thing in the world. But there's always backlash and shows like that to where you can do the big stipulation LA Knight AJ match and like it's cool. You know what I mean? So that's what I would be leaning towards here, personally speaking. You create the space, you put them all in that match, and then you kind of find something else to do with some of these other matchups. I don't know. I'm not feeling or getting they're gonna do Randy KO Logan at Mania out of this. Even though I will admit, at the Australia presser, they did have those three positioned on stage talking to each other. So
And Kevin has not got closure with Logan, right? And Logan cost Randy. That's the only reason I'm piecing it together that way.
what if they did Logan and Jake Paul versus Randy and Kevin Owens?
I'd rather we not do that if we're WrestlePurists, but I actually think you're underestimating. If they did do the triple threat, I actually think the ceiling on that is quite high. Think how over Randy Orton's going to be in the stadium at WrestleMania, dude. Kevin Owens is going to take crazy bumps. Logan is going to have all these stunts in a triple threat match, you know? I think that would suit. I think that would suit all three guys. So.
Maybe. Just
your concern is the LA Knight AJ match, and it's a fair concern because we both know what that match is. And it's 10 minutes, and it's 2 3/4 3-star range, and two solid pros did their thing. You know, you can see that match like in your head. So
AJ had that match with Randy in 2019 at Mania. Like,
it would probably not be as good as that either. We're being real. So
and so it's just like, do we need that taking up what'll inevitably be a 17-minute block of space on the Mania card between entrances, the video package, and the wrestling?
Unless you do the plunder. You mentioned the stip match. I guess you could do could they do like some sort of, like Falls Count Anywhere business or some kind of...
I'd reserve that for the Final Testament versus Bobby's team.
Fuck you.
Here's the thing. I didn't want to do that.
No, I don't want to hear the thing.
No, I'm gonna say it. I don't care. No. It's actually. I didn't want to see this here, but I was watching SmackDown, and number one, I'd like to say that the Street Profits are back. They came back with their old music, and they looked awesome against AOP in that tag match they had. And it was more ambitious and got a little bit more time than I expected. And within the match, they did this thing. They did smoke and mirror spots where the women got involved, but also where Cross tried to interfere, and Bobby's like throwing him around the place in his suit, and he's like spearing him on the outside, and the crowd is going nuts for him, like Bobby, and he's flexing and screaming, and the Street Profits are getting like shine afterwards. And within that kind of like bottled action in that space of time, it actually did feel LWO versus Judgment Day spring 2023 dynamic, in that I saw within the space of time a very heated plunder brawl with all the 6 of these people, to be completely honest with you. And so I say all that to say a Falls Count Anywhere 6-person match with these guys would not be bad. It would actually be fairly fun, to be honest.
Yeah, it would, but I wouldn't not give AJ Styles and LA Knight a much better chance of having something, entertaining and Mania worthy for the sake of that.
Bobby doing that like choke bombs thing to one of the AOP guys off the stage.
It would be fun. I agree with you. It'd be fun. But if you say to me I can only do one, like no DQ, plunder, match like that, then I'm going with AJ LA Knight all day,
I hear you.
But yeah, AJ LA Knight, we just mentioned that. Mentioned Logan Paul's potential title defense. Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso.
We're back.
Oh yeah. I hope they do this justice, man. I don't know what they're gonna do, but I don't know. Maybe they could do something when they could, I don't know. I don't know, play off how emotional Jay is, but in a way that doesn't make him look like a moron, like fucking they always do with wrestling, like AEW did to Eddie Kingston in 2022. It's like, but yeah, man, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, it's a big one, Joe Hall. But
it is. It might not be a good one, but it's a big one. And the chat is pretty convinced that there's going to be a stip for this match, which I could also see. That would help, right? You could do some kind of table plunder and
last who's standing.
Last who's standing. Someone.
That's good shit.
Someone said they'd rather see the new Cuck Republic versus DIY.
Oh. Get that next week on Raw or something. We had that last week on SmackDown, didn't we?
It was pretty sick.
Yeah, man.
Do we think there's a lot of work rate tag teams right now in the company. Which of them do you expect to make Mania? Between these between these new Catch Republic guys, the Good Brothers, the Street Profits, British.
They might do something like they did last year. With,
I think they will. Yeah, I know. Do
so they can do that
showcases.
easy. And it's just like boom, 3-4 tag teams, 8 people. Like they're on the card.
Okay, question. Would you do this? Would you consolidate this Awesome Truth Judgment Day match into a multi-tag team ladder / TLC title match thing?
No.
Or you would just do a regular tag title match in a showcase?
I'd do that, yeah. And I know that isn't for us, the Awesome Truth thing. I think that will play well in the stadium. And also, it's the kind of stadium match that will take not a single spot away from any other match because they will probably do no wrestling moves.
Correct.
So it will be like, I think that when that match comes on, if they place it correctly, it will actually be really beneficial to the show, I think. And I say that as someone who's does not care whatsoever about the Awesome Truth thing. I just think it'll work. So
I was listening to a podcast where someone legitimately suggested that they're saying that like not every match needs to be like super heavy on a super card like this, where it's like everything's a big title or stip match or this or that or a big feud, and it's like you place the this lighthearted thing and you give them a cute moment in the middle of the show or something, and it actually works well to break up the serious action. So I hear you. I hear you. You know.
Yeah. So is that what we're deciding that we're going with for the tag title match at Mania? We're pretty locking that in.
I think we have to. Yeah. I mean, I agreed with Ibu's take that like it would be better if the belts wasn't involved and that was just a thing, like a conflict among them. I know it would work better. But at this point, I think there's probably a chance that people in the company want to give Truth that moment. And honestly, like, God bless him, bro. I mean, I think it's kind of unfortunate the tag belts have gone from what they were doing last year to this potentially.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think a lot of the WWE audience would like to see our Truth get this kind of triumphant moment at WrestleMania. So
would
it works.
Complain if like they got steamrolled a week later for the tag belts and lost them?
No, you should use their reign should be just used to make a new heel team. Someone should kill those guys, right? As a heel. So
who would you pick to just destroy them then? Does that team exist right now?
Well, I mean, if your guys are looking good, that's a perfect spot for AOP if they look good. I haven't seen their match, but that's what you just described is AOP, right?
They kind of just walk around and club you.
They club you and they're big.
Yeah,
sounds good to me.
Bro, the first like 4 tags of their heat segment at the start was just them kind of just clubbing them.
Yeah.
Like, no moves, just.
I will say, someone in the chat mentions Imperium, and
I was going to say Imperium.
I could do
that would be a nice way to give them an edge as a team, you know? Like, have them just obliterate them. Yeah.
Actually, you know what? That's actually pretty because here's the thing. Okay, let's hypothetically Gable beats Gunther, right? What if the next night Gunther's just super pissed and he's like, we got to make this night our night for like on Monday Night Raw or whatever. Like, boom, tag title match. Imperium destroys them and shit. And Gunther's like on like a hell, like he's just on a fucking warpath. You know what I mean? It'd actually be cool too, because let's say hypothetically Sammy was celebrating being a champion or something, and Gunther just beat the fuck out of him on that Raw, just something like that. I don't know, but I don't mind Imperium being that team as well.
Speaking of which, Gunther. So Chad Gable, you think that's the Mania match, bro? You locking it in?
I can't 100% lock it in until we figure out what's going on with Sammy. If Sammy is still in the Drew orbit, then yes, I'm going with Chad Gable.
Okay. There's a few other contenders, names in contention. Andrade.
I wonder what they're gonna do. He's still in the vignette verse.
Yeah,
they're very thick vignettes. I will say they're really.
They are.
But I wish we could.
He's also very good at professional wrestling, so I'd like to see him do that.
I don't mind the vignette verse.
Just wish it came earlier though, Ibu. He left AEW at the end of December. It's like, I feel like we could have. I miss seeing him wrestle. I'm not even saying it's like objectively bad or whatever. I'm just like,
you would like to see him do.
Like we waited. He was in the Rumble for it. They saved him for the Rumble in a spot. Like Monty mentioned it a bunch of times. Bring him in at an angle. He's not the kind of guy you just throw him into a Rumble and he's like, here he is. Like, because honestly, a lot of the audience won't remember him that way anyway. So if you give him an angle, he could have gone straight into something. But whatever.
To be honest with you, especially the way the vignettes are framed, because he's talking about in these vignettes, talking about like how he has a very specific thing he wants to do. He's like, I know exactly who I'm coming for, and this and that. To be honest with you, it feels like the type of thing where you do a post-Mania thing where he attacks a champion and his challenges them and he wins it.
Yeah.
So which is why, to be honest with you, I think that the timing kind of fucked him up here, because I don't know what his natural WrestleMania match is, to be honest with you, unless
Well, there isn't a natural one because obviously,
you know what I'd honestly do, Monty? I'd do some fucking thing where Adam Pearce has stolen Dragon Lee from SmackDown, has signed him over, and then like you just do a quick TV thing to set up a Dragon Lee Andrade like Mania match that's fucking 11 minutes and it rules, and Andrade wins with the fucking back elbow thing. That's what I'd do, But
you're a hopeless romantic, aren't you, Ivo?
Hopeless romantic.
Try to get an 11-minute Dragon Lee match on this thing. Our card has got like 28 matches at this point.
Yeah, right. He his best bet is to get in that Logan Paul multi-man.
Yeah, agree.
Ray, I wonder what's going to be the Ray match at Mania, because they did this thing backstage at SmackDown where it was super funny. Like Joaquin and Raul are just really like they're funny actors, so like they're just sitting backstage and like the scene begins, Joe, and Joaquin is like, "Man, what are we gonna do about those Legado guys, man?" And Raul's just like, "También, papi, I don't know, Santos, he's just I don't know, carnal," and he's talking and shit. And then like they're just like that, and then out of nowhere they get jumped by the Garzas, who I gotta say, hell of a beatdown, great aggression, beat the dog shit out of them. This is after Elektra Lopez essentially came to them and said, "This is why you should have been loyal." But anyway, the idea of the segment, because I think Santos or one of them was like talking shit to them, saying like, "This is why you shouldn't have fucking sided with Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio will never be back. Rey is never coming back," which is wrestling ease for Rey is coming back. They're doing a street fight with Carlito and Santos on Friday. I presume this is where Carlito is written off and told to fuck off for a little bit. So, yeah.
I think Mask vs. Hair, Escobar and Ray, bro. Give it to them.
Would you rather that over a 6-man?
Yes.
How about you?
Mask vs. Hair gives that some juice, bro. That would be cool. At Mania, could you imagine? That would be a spectacle for WrestleMania.
It would be a spectacle. I worry a little bit about Big Matt Santos, just a touch. And what I would say is that the Garzas and the other LWO guys are pretty fun.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. The other thing is we'll make it, I guess, Mania issues if you get the ladies involved, like because Zelina and Elektra have been brawling like every week. And
how does that make it Mania?
The intergender aspect of it.
I'm not even being like a dick.
Yeah, I can tell
how
you.
does Zelina Vega and Elektra Lopez make anything more Mania?
Right now, WWE historically at these Mania cards, they love that intergender side of these things. They love doing intergender tags. It's a historical staple of most 2010s WrestleManias if you go back and check. So that's your answer.
Yeah, but like, to do it with Cena and Bella and stuff, people like that,
Just saying.
No, I think there's a good chance it is a tag, honestly.
I
could see them doing a deal where I think Team Escobar could include Dom and Team Ray could include Andrade.
That would be fucking awesome.
Well, that's what I do.
Getting Dom and Andrade.
Casual booking,
You know what? My hot take is you get Dom and Andrade, and that's a 4-star match.
Will she's on $2. Any Mania plans for Andrade that's being pitched?
No.
see previous conversation we were just having. Hush 499, appreciate you. Jimmy and Jay doesn't feel like a one-off, feels like a 3-match feud, with the last one with a steep and a reunion, with Jimmy fully leaving the God line. I don't know, man. We'll see. Obviously, Jimmy's just done like the big attack to get the story like fully picked up for Mania now, So we'll see kind of what direction they're gonna go in. Hush 199, appreciate you. Cena and Truth over Awesome Truth, please.
Fuck.
That's horrible. Couple options you give me there. That's like.
Fuck.
Anyway, moving on.
Damian Priest doing sequence.
Okay, so Io Bailey, Becky, Gunther, Chad Gable. Chad Gable, Andrade. Anyone else who you think could be like a dark horse who could potentially end up in that match? What about Sheamus?
Great. That's a great one because That's what Sheamus wants to do at Mania, and he's been shooting his own angle on Twitter for about 2 weeks now, where he's just kind of like, "Hey, remember me and Gunther? Great match, huh?" He's been posting about that, and every time Gunther posts, he just quotes it like, it's like, okay. So
it doesn't feel like Sheamus, I have to say.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know who he doesn't particularly feel like anyone right now.
It doesn't. You're right.
Well, I don't know, Mike, because last week Gable's match preceded Gunther's match, and they did the whole thing of like, now Gable has the momentum. Now Gable is on the road to Mania, and they explicitly had him doing the thing where he's like, like, I know I make you guys laugh, and I know I do the thing with the Alpha Academy guys, but I'm a singles wrestler, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to start the singles thing. Like, they kept framing that, and I know that the really overt WWE way of building is to like have like a face off backstage or something, because like the Triple H way, you guys know, is like he flashes the matchup before your eyes a few months in advance. You know what I mean? Like they'll run into each other or like a mention or something like that, and they haven't done that. But there's enough now to see. I almost feel like they don't want to fully commit to something because maybe like there's something in the way that they're hoping for.
Dude, you mentioned that the Andrade thing could be like he jumps a champ after Mania. If him and Chad Gable is their IC title feud coming out of WrestleMania, then that belt's going to be okay after Gunter because those matches could be spectacular. Can you imagine the matches those fellas could have? My God,
no, I'd do a fucking best of 7.
That's one of those deals where you flip the belt back and forth. I think. Like,
oh my God,
they could have killer matches, man.
Could you imagine Andrade winning that bitch at like 2 weeks after Mania, and then Gable tries to get it back or whatever, and like they just flip it back and forth twice? I don't think anyone would complain.
You play with length on those two. Like they could do fucking 6-minute sprints that go crazy, or they could have a 20-minute classic. They could have great matches.
That you might have to bring back the match guide for that.
Okay. So Gunther, not 100% sure, but Chad Gable couldn't possibly. Nia Jax, Jay Cargill.
I think that's what they should.
What do you think they do though? Like, what do you think they actually do with Jay Cargill and Nia Jax? Because he kind of seems to solve both problems, doesn't it?
Yes.
Unless they are just deciding to just kind of push Nia to the side now, but you would kind of feel wasteful after the way they built her up for the Rhea match.
I don't think they do. I don't think they do. I don't think they push Nia to the side. I think she's probably going to beat up a bunch of people on tonight's Raw. She's probably going to crash the women's match.
She has that win over Becky, man.
What's up?
She has that win over Becky. So
she will probably challenge Becky after Mania in some type of title match. I could easily see that. Like I said, I think they're going to book some like fodder women's match tonight, and then she's going to like crash and just beat up everybody in the ring. And be like, I didn't really lose to Rhea, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, no, Jay. But here's the thing as well with Nia Jax. The PW Insider report like last week or the week before was like she's going to be on SmackDown on the lead up to WrestleMania. Then obviously she was in that segment with Nick Aldis.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if she's on SmackDown,
she didn't sign the.
I know. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that if the report and what we've seen on screen, like it would be fair to maybe think she's going on SmackDown.
Do you think they may do like she's with Bianca against Damage Control or something like that?
They could.
They could absolutely do that. But then another match that people have been talking about and kind of hinting at is Bianca wrestling Tiffany Stratton. So maybe
you do Bianca and Tiffany, Naomi and Jade versus Damage Control.
That solves multiple problems. And it gets Damage Control out of the dreaded 4-way women's tag title match. Which they do.
Dreaded.
It is the dreaded 4-way women's tag title.
Yeah, like I said, like what do we think they do?
I don't know, because the thing with Nia is, you're right. Taking her out of the game feels wasteful, but at the same time, if she does the Jade match, that match has to be, pretty short, right? Jade's going to win that match, and it's like, in some ways, Nia may be better off cycling out slightly for Mania so she can have a feud with Becky after WrestleMania, rather than if Jade kills her at Mania, then you kind of, you have to rebuild, right, with Nia. Whereas if you just kind of let her in the background, leave her in the background for a bit, maybe she wins a battle royal or something
I
on
was gonna
WrestleMania, SmackDown, or like one
Playing
of
the
those
long
things.
game.
Yeah, because to me, I'm not against the Jade thing, but if you do it, you are kind of like putting an end to that chapter, I think, for Nia. So I think there's different things to kind of figure out there. It's going to be interesting what they do.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, so Liv Morgan. We haven't mentioned Liv Morgan. There's fucking hashtag trending about her. I know Ibu's kind of doesn't like the idea of what that hashtag wants. You know, her in the main event with, not the main event, but in the world title match with Rhea and Becky.
it's not
I mean,
happening.
it could main event, but it's not gonna. You know, we got Dwayne. You know, we got Dwayne for Night 1. Everyone knows what Night 2's main event will be. But anyway, you know, obviously there's a lot of fans that want Liv Morgan in that world title match with Rhea Ripley, but it's obviously that's not going to happen unless this trend becomes ridiculous and not undeniable, which it isn't trending that way, to be honest. But you know, you'd think she's gonna get something. You know,
She's gonna have to make peace with that battle royal / 4-way women's tag.
Do you reckon they might do like
I don't know, man.
Do you reckon they might do one of the? We haven't got enough match space, but I was wondering if they could figure out a showcase for the women's tags. They can't. They haven't got the room, have they? Who would be her partner, Raquel?
What about Liv against one of the women that we've already mentioned so far? Like, I don't know who.
Though? Yeah.
If they did this showcase, the match would literally be like Raquel and Liv versus like Shayna and Zoe versus.
It's not worth it, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like versus like Candice and Indy versus Piper and Chelsea Green. Is this something we need in our line? Now, here's the thing: if they utilize the pre-show space for matches, then I would pull the trigger on this just to get these people a WrestleMania paycheck. This is not something that I would occupy main card space on. But I do think in general, because they don't really use pre-show space in general. I actually think for Mania, fuck it, get everybody on.
I agree.
It's to do some match. Fuck it.
I do think Liv should like. I'm kind of on an island. A lot of people get very passionate about the not everyone needs to on the show thing, but I do think like WrestleMania is. I think popular professional wrestlers should probably have a place on WrestleMania. That's my hot take. As someone that's flown to the States for WrestleMania, it's a good thing to get everyone on those. You know, I really believe that. So,
you know,
I do think Liv. I don't know what the place is though. I don't know.
Big E has publicly lobbied on the bump for this idea immediately got taken by AEW. He basically wanted like a meat extravaganza, meat madness type of taken by AEW by a week later. And he threw in names like Otis.
Yeah, what, do AEW are actually doing a freeway? Like, it's
really?
not,
is that it?
Yeah, no, I sent it into one of our chats earlier because AEW tweeted like freeway match. Like,
it's a bit.
I'll get the tweet up actually.
It's kind of strange. I don't know. What I was getting at, Joe, is the names that they're throwing out is like Biggie was throwing out like Ivar, Otis, and Bronson Reed, right? And you know what I would say if I was Paul Levesque? I'd say, what is Braun Strowman's recovery looking like? Because
I've got him noted down, brother.
Because here's
him noted down.
If there could be a surprise entrant in this meat extravaganza, and he could come in and it's like, and he's just doing
his fucking rule.
You know what I mean? Powerbomb and OTs.
Dude, if you were on creative, imagine how many problems you'd respond to with, what's the timeline on Braun Strowman?
Braun Strowman, bro. Just think about, you know, what's his name? Reed does a tsunami or whatever. If it's just imagine a 4-way elimination with Otis, Bronson Reed, Braun, and Ivar. I honestly think that could be fucking sick. And Braun Strowman ends up powerbombing the Bronson Reed, and you know, gets a big pop, huge stadium spectacle, 9 minutes, 3.5. Kind of what you need, you know. It's kind of what
6 minutes, 2.5.
I don't know. Braun and Otis had a 3.5 in 6 minutes. So I don't know. You know.
Do we know how many matches we have? Does anyone know?
I think Monty.
Have you kept score of our match card? How many matches we have?
Yeah, we're about to do. We've done 12 matches. Yeah, I know. Like, I tried saying in the chat, and they're still going. Like, we got too many matches, bro. Too many matches. People are getting let off the card. Like, bro.
In that case, let's get Goldberg on the phone.
What do we want to do with Braun Breaker? Do we get him in Meat Madness?
Goldberg. That's what I was just getting to. No,
do we get if Braun Strowman?
Joe, you're joking, like, but
no, I would do it, but I don't know.
you know, I'll say no flaws.
Honestly, he
you
may be a candidate. Just this is his first year here. He may win that battle royal on SmackDown just this year, and then you get really moving after WrestleMania. You know.
What do you think about Braun versus Kevin Owens?
I love it as a match. I think it's pretty harsh on Kev to just be like a guy that Braun beats the fuck out of WrestleMania. Personally,
if Braun goes on to be Brock Lesnar,
for sure,
then
is Braun a baby or a heel?
Comparison right now, you know,
it's kind of unclear.
You know what I'm saying though, right? Like,
yeah. Like just feeding.
In wrestling, there's it's one thing jobbing to guys that are established, but when you're like blatantly used that way, it is seen a certain way.
Yes,
fair or unfair, but yeah,
the setup guy to get cucked by the new pushed person, you know.
Yeah,
I hear you.
I do. We talked about the US title thing, but I wouldn't put him in that because then you're putting him in the midst of like a packed lineup of stars, you know. So yeah, I'd probably just wait with Braun, honestly.
Yeah, you gotta do it right. It's like they didn't wait all this time, which felt like too long to bring him up to the main roster just to fucking rush him into something, you know.
I will say, if Braun Strowman isn't available, I would have Braun Breaker win that meat multi-man, you know. Look like a killer.
Works.
Heyman is seen ringside, in just kind of taking notes and logging notes onto his Waffle House menu. Yeah.
The one thing with the Kevin pitch is, I assume he's taking time off at some point, right? Has he got like a broken foot?
Well, you know, it's Kevin Owens, and you know,
because the reason I say that is you could do a finish that actually establishes Braun as a heel, which I do think is the correct play.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has more personality as a heel. You could do a finish that establishes him as a heel, and when Kevin gets back, then you have a feud, and I think he could learn a lot from a real feud with Kevin. You know, where they go around the loop a few times and so on and so forth. So,
a few tours. You know?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's
a few house show loops. You know?
Yeah, that's the beauty of wrestling like that. So yeah.
Yeah, man. I like it. I like the card that we threw together.
I'd like it to be a little marked. Just for my little, you know, just make me feel better, you know. Like Mania last year, it hit that good mix where you got the big feuds, you got some work rate, and they slipped some work. See, here's the thing: they covertly between the tag showcase last year, the Gunther 3-way, and what else? There was something else. They got some of that markiness in there. You know what I mean?
Cody and Roman are gonna have a 5, brother. You know, it's
that match is gonna be the most attitude era match in years.
I'm ready. You know what's crazy thing about it, Joe? If Cody gets to 1, 2, 3 at the end of it, it's gonna be godly.
Yeah, of course. But like
the truth,
I actually worry about the match in the sense that like. That I genuinely thought up until the finish, they created legitimate magic last year.
Yep.
You know, like that was special what they did, and then the finish was just
Joe,
and it wasn't even just Cody lost, bro. It was like the way they executed that finish was horrendous.
Not creative, you know?
Yeah. Joe, the DMs Monty was sending me 75% through the way of that main event. Like when we were like heading towards that home stretch, and the crowd is going crazy, and Cody's doing figure fours and dusty punches on Roman Reigns and getting funky like a monkey. And the part where Steen and Sammy were running off the Usos, Monty's just DM'd me like, "This is wrestling, man. It
was unbelievable.
It was like trending towards the best Mania main event.
It was
besides the one the night before it.
I was sitting there, Joe. I'm like, And I'm sitting there and I'm like, if Cody wins, I'm like, this is the best Mania of all time. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, what?
It was also quickly becoming like the absolute face of when we talk about how like the old stuff still works, because they had like that main event basically could have played at any point in the last 30 years,
Yes.
and the place was rocking,
Do
and
you-
you just know this sequel is going to be the most set
Roman
piece
goes through the
filled.
announce table.
You know,
it's gonna be like movie sequels where it's like bigger, louder,
Yep.
more money,
and
more
dumber. And
dumber.
with a new star named Dwayne too, by the way. So
and yet, if Cody pins Roman on top of that, it'll still work. But
They really could just do like the same match with the right finish.
That's the ideal thing. Yeah, that's the ideal thing.
The thing is, look, yes, that first match wasn't Sting Flair Clash Champions won, yes, but there was some horseshit. They did they did the ref bump and then Steen Jericho coming in and all that type of stuff. And so like I do think these guys are gonna have a proper wrestling match, but with instead of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn doing that part, I think like it's like a Seth Rollins or some shit like that. We'll see. I will say, like at the beginning of that first match, like, do you remember those early exchanges where Cody's getting like the better of him in like the early wrestling stuff, and Roman's slipping out to the outside, and Heyman's like, "Take your time. You're the champion. You're the best in the world. You're the champion. You're the man. Don't worry about it." And Roman's kind of like regrouping and shit, and Cody's in the ring after doing some fucking steamboat shit. Like he did if you go back, he did that like leg scissors, like, and then takes you down thing. You know what I'm talking about? Like where he jumps, catches you with the leg scissors, and then like flips you down to it. Yeah.
Like Ricky Morton style.
Yeah. The Ricky Morton thing. Yeah. Ricky Steamboat does it too, but yeah. My God, it's crazy. The match was paced in a way where it took its time, but it built so well, and the crowd is so into it. And I remember, Joe, I told you before it happened.
He's just going, he's living it all over again.
Yeah, I'm like reliving. I never rewatched it. That's so funny. I've never watched it back ever in my life. And I'm gonna make a mistake. I'm gonna rewatch it before Mania. I'm gonna rewatch it. We'll see how that goes. But Joe, I don't know if you remember, before that match happened, I told you, I said Cody's favorite match is Hogan Rock. They're gonna recreate the feeling, and you were like, I don't know, that's it. I don't know.
I didn't think they'd be that over. Yeah, they were, man.
And then they got in there and they had Hogan Rocky.
Yeah, it was. And again, that's the one thing that scares me about the real. Scares is too strong, but it's not keeping me up at night. But I do. What I always thought was a bummer about the finish last year was that crowd was incredible. Like, are you ever going to get it that hot again? We'll see.
No, you never know.
You never know. Like, I always use an example now, so I apologize, folks. But that Rumble match was a great example of that, right? Like, every part of your brain would tell you this latest Rumble was going to have this like molten hot crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And they just weren't that way. Like, just wrestling crowds, everyone's different. Like, it is what it is.
So backstage when they're plotting it out, they're like, all right, so it's going to be like Drew and Gunther and Cody and Punk. In their heads, they're like, this is going to be electric. It's going to be.
You could tell too. Yeah, you could tell they felt that way. But every crowd is different. Last year at SummerSlam, Roman had got in a comfort zone with certain crowds reacting, and that SummerSlam crowd just didn't react that way. So
yeah, bro, he got away for so many pay-per-views of just being a fucking piece of shit, like just a lumbering, laborious motherfucker.
Real graps.
That London crowd, you guys are so forgiving to this guy just walking around and looking at you and posing and
it fucking ruled.
Throwing uppercuts and throwing the one up for 20 fucking minutes straight. What a KG Muto ass
tremendous! What a tremendous night that was.
35-minute tag.
Going Civil War.
Monty, 35-minute tag, and at minute 27, he was like, "All right, let's pick it up."
Look, man, it worked. That atmosphere was magic, dude. It was special.
Dave went 4.5. He thought it was incredible.
Beast. I loved it. Anyway,
Roman Reigns did look like the Observer Wrestler of the Year through July, which is hysterical. He almost got away with it. We almost let him get away with it.
Anyway, let's do. We got 2 super chats here. Showtime Spurs $10. Got here a bit late, but was wondering, in hindsight, if you think Jade losing in the Elimination Chamber would have been fine considering the reaction we've seen to Tiffany's performance.
Yeah, I think it would have been fine if it was too bad.
I think it would have changed the match dramatically, though.
Listen, I would have only have had Jade lose in the chamber if she was going to get pinned by Becky and face Becky at Mania. But that obviously wasn't happening. So I actually disagree with my fellow co-host on this one. I don't think that would have been fine because Jade's not Tiffany, bro. Like Tiffany's not like this dominant suit. Like she's got a great presence, but it's a different kind of presence, you know. Jade needs to be dominant. You know, she doesn't have to win every single match where you get yourself booked into a corner where it's like, oh, we can't have a lose, bro. But the first time she has a match where she can lose by pinfall, I don't think she should be losing by pinfall. You know, so she definitely needs to win her first time she gets in the ring, I think.
I think if you were setting up a Bianca Belair thing, you could have done it in a way that would have worked. We ultimately settled on the real key is what she's doing at Mania. Right?
Yeah.
Like, if they have a plan that goes right into effect this Friday, the Chamber will be a completely forgotten part of the story. So that's the key, really.
Right. Mazfan 84 199, appreciate it. Look up Ole Anderson shoot on Meltzer, hilarious.
Yeah, he was very mean to Dave. Very mean to Dave.
He was something else.
He was mean to everyone, really.
Absolutely. Rest in peace, Ole Anderson.
So he passed?
He passed.
I mean, Ric Flair tweeted it. And because that's usually what happens with some of the older folks, isn't it? You know, one of the fellow wrestlers will like break the news, and then there'll be like this awkward moment where it's like, "Wait, what?" You know. So
this when we were on the air. You're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, Ole Anderson was infamously grumpy.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And I would not confidently, kind of swear by his moral compass, but I will say one of the funniest shoot interview characters of all time. And of course was the source of one of the greatest wrestling stories ever, in which Vince McMahon tried to hire him and he said, "Fuck you," as one does when the most powerful person in wrestling tries to give them a job. So the next time Vince came back and he had Linda with him, he said, "I'd like to meet my wife, Linda." And he said, and I quote, "Fuck her and fuck you too." And at that point, Ole ended any chance of him working for the World Wrestling Federation. Again, a very, very flawed individual is my understanding, but
yes,
a one-of-one character, and I'll leave it at that.
So I was actually telling AO some Ole Anderson jokes in Discord the other day, funny enough, but ones that I can't do on air. But rest in peace to one of the better tag wrestlers of his generation.
Yeah.
Very important wrestler.
Incredible promo too, man. What a promo he was. Yeah.
He is a horseman. And we're losing a lot of guys from his generation, but like Joe said, you should definitely seek out an Ole Anderson interview because if nothing else, you're going to laugh because he is emblematic of just wrestlers of his era are like not normal people. Like they are.
Yeah, it's worth seeking. I mean, all of his promos are great. The two that if you've never seen any Ole, you have to see two promos. The one after he turned on Dusty in the cage, which is like an all-time great wrestling segment in Atlanta. And the other one I think that is so underrated is after he turns babyface, the Horsemen turn on him, and he cuts this promo about the fire still being there. You know, it burns bright before it goes out. It's incredible wrestling promo. So seek both of those out.
To make it to 85, being a wrestler from the 80s is pretty impressive, I gotta say. He made it to 81 years old, which
he was a double booker at one point, right? Wasn't he booking two territories at once? Like famously, it kind of drove him nuts. So there's a trivia question for you.
Two fucking territories at the same time. Remarkable. Rest in peace to Ole Anderson. An insane motherfucker, Probably wouldn't like me very much, but it's
Anyway, What was I going to say, man? What was the other thing we was going to talk about? Yeah, Ibu, that tweet you did. A lot of people kicking the shit out of you, bro.
Which one?
Because you think that John Moxley should be Naito, the IWGP World Championship.
I do.
At Windy City Riot, which is next month. And yeah, so some people are like, you know, how the main argument I'm seeing brought up is schedule, to be honest. Which I think is fair because, you know, if he's like, obviously you wouldn't expect him to go over there and do full time New Japan for months on end, you know, but at the same time there can be a nice middle ground where he isn't just showing up pay-per-view week, you know. So if he was showing up regularly, then I would actually be very much for it. But he would, like I said, it wouldn't just have to be a thing where he just shows up pay-per-view week and, you know, wrestles his matches then, because then all of his matches are kind of like big matches or a tag match. Like, I want to see him go over there, really establish himself as someone he can, like, you know, we mentioned it yesterday, I think it was, like, go over there, squash some of the young boys and stuff like that, and, you know, like, really like establish yourself as this, you know, foreign kick ass, you know, measuring stick. And obviously if he wins the title, that could be huge for, you know, whoever eventually beats him for it. Obviously, most people would assume Shota Umino. Obviously, these are all hypotheticals. But, you know, obviously AEW would have to take a bit of a backseat. And to be honest, I won't be mad at it. So
it would be good for. It would be honestly good for him to be away for a little bit. It would refresh him. These situations are always funny because the Ibu of WrestlePurists and I will discuss something, and I think it's a pretty steady take. And then Ibu will tweet it, and he'll get the absolute shit kicked out of him, and I will not in any way, shape, or form.
Probably.
I won't co-sign it. I'll just let it out there. Like, yes, I don't know why Ibu said that. So that was funny today, but.
Listen, I stand by it. I think John Moxley should win the championship. I think that'd be interesting. And people are talking about, this is a fucking stupid idea. His schedule will be fucking shit, you fucking moron. It's like, obviously in this fantasy booking idea, John would be making the towns. I don't even think he needs to be at every fucking tour. Do you think John Moxley needs to be at Road to Sakura Genesis? To me, if he's on the big major events and he does a couple key angles on the shows leading to those, I think that's fine enough. And people are talking about who's going to draw the houses. Well, Tetsuya Naito, who you guys swear by, is still going to be on these shows, and he's still a big draw. He outdrew the Wrestle Kingdom last year with Keiji Muto in the main event. So again, I don't see the problem. I think also that the infusion of John in the product would be interesting in the sense that, like we spoke about, Joe, it adds a different complexion to the main event scene, and you can dismantle the house style because the way I suggested it was, Monty, let's say hypothetically, right? Shota Umino gets to make it to the world title match at Dominion, and he faces John Moxley this year at Dominion, and Shota thinks he's ready, and John just beats the fucking dog shit out of him, and he emphatically defeats him decisively in about 8 minutes or so. That's shocking. That's surprising. It's a shock to the system. It rattles the cage, so to speak, of New Japan, and it teaches the audience that it retrains the audience that matches can end at any time. They don't just end after about 25 minutes or when you hear the time call. And so you do that. You give Shota an edge when he enters the G1 climax. He wins the G1 climax. He makes his way back to John Moxley. I don't see the issue with this. He was Mox's young boy when he was a young lion. John has been a guy who has cachet with the New Japan fans. He's a former United States champion. He's been on multiple Tokyo Dome shows. He was in a G1 climax. So it's not a random guy. It's not an outsider, if you ask me. And you get to crown somebody that your promotion theoretically has faith in. So I don't see the downside in this. The only downside, like you said, Monty, is the schedule issue. And to me, even if he can only make the big shows, I would still do this. Genuinely, I'd still do this.
And the other thing too is this is a less important thing, but they've actually sold tickets for this US show coming up. It would be nice to do something of actual significance on one of those shows. It may help, you know.
You know what that teaches you, Joe? Don't miss the town when New Japan comes to your city. When New Japan comes to your city, it's not a bullshit show. It's not a filler show. There's big matches and big stars, and things will happen. And if you were somebody who thought I'm going to skip out on New Japan in Chicago and John Moxley won their top belt, you know what that happens, Joe? The next time they come into Chicago, they're going to do an even bigger house. That's usually how wrestling works. That's how house show business was helped for years. And so on multiple levels, it helps. It helps the fucking relationship with AEW New Japan, in my opinion. And then when Moxley does return to a full-time status in AEW, he's now a refreshed character that can be reintegrated into a title scene that has so many people. There's so many benefits when you think about every aspect of this. Let's think about this, guys. Theoretically, by the springtime, you know who's going to be in AEW? Maxwell Jacob Friedman, Kazuchika Okada, and Will Ospreay. Removing John out of the fold to then focus on some of these new guys and establish them is not the worst thing in the world, because when John reintegrates himself, he's a new guy that he's just it's a new body to throw at these guys. So yeah, I stand by this take.
Well, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about it, John?
Well, it's kind of my take, so I mean,
Well, this is what he does, isn't it? You know,
I'm
we
kinda
talk about
married
things
to
like
it.
we talk the amount of times like I get off a podcast and I see Ibu's tweet and I'm like, wait, like, yeah.
I can't really. I think I said it like 20 hours ago, so I'm stuck to it. But
Never mind.
look, I will say I do completely get the concerns of like this promotion is struggling right now. It does not need that kind of risk. I get it completely. So I understand that, and I also understand there are definitely New Japan fans watching this right now saying, "Why the fuck should I listen to Joe Holbert's opinion on this? The only match he watched on the weekend was Nick Nemeth's one." So if you're saying that, I see you.
You're seen and heard.
Alright, let's we got a quick super chat which is relevant. Massfan 199, appreciate it. When AJ won the IWGP, he was not routinely touring. And even if that is true, but like it's a very different promotion now.
It
So
is a
it's
different
like
New
it's
Japan,
not the same circumstances. Everything's
But he was
case by
also-
case with wrestling, and it's
He was an absentee champion, though.
But yeah,
Bro, he did Battle of Los Angeles as the IWGP champion.
But yeah, anything. Obviously, we spoke about Elimination Chamber. We did a full review. Go check that out on the channel if you haven't already. So all three of us already give our takes on Elimination Chamber. Pretty decent show, top to bottom. Don't think. Well, me and Joe were like nothing really stood out too much, you know, but everything was at a good level. But Ibu seems to think that the men's chamber was the standout match, and it was very good. They were all very good, but yeah.
The David Meltzer agrees with me. He thinks that the men's chamber was the best match.
Oh yeah, that's such a great co-sign in 2024,
Hell yeah.
isn't it? Anyway,
that 4 3/4 drop, brother.
What else did we have over the weekend? Obviously, SmackDown was just kind of chamber build. Collision, we had Bryan versus Jun Akiyama in the main event. We had the angle with Eddie Kingston at the end, which was really cool. The match was just pretty decent though. You know, like if you saw the graphic and you was expecting like an epic Bryan match, you know, with a Puro guy, you didn't quite get that, you know. But nonetheless, it was still a good match. I liked the angle after the match.
Yeah.
It
was one of those where it's like it was a worthy piece of history. I'm glad it happened. They lived up to and had a good professional wrestling match. It definitely made me kind of sit there and consider the time machine versions of that matchup, because June is just the fact that he can still wrestle always insane, you know, when you consider when he broke in and the guys he was wrestling then immediately, by the way. So yeah, I like the match nonetheless, and especially once June got warmed up a little bit, I thought that a good match. So
it was a good time. You have a good time with Collision, either with WrestlePurists.
Yeah, I did, and I always do. It's just a consistently good wrestling show featuring wrestlers that I enjoy. And one of the other things that hit me yesterday was that I just also generally, even though they added some LEDs recently that were unfortunate, I just like the aesthetic of Collision compared to Dynamite. This is a really weird, pedantic Ibu thing. I hate the visual color combination of red and blue. I think it looks like shit in any form of anything. And when Dynamite switched to the new set at the beginning of 2023, they decided their primary colors are going to be red and blue on the LEDs. And since then, it's been deeply unfortunate to look at. Collision has this harmonious blend of red as a primary color with some navy blue in the background and backdrop and some light yellows here as highlights. And it's lovely. You know why? Because those are the three primary colors Montel of WrestlePurist. So I say all this to say that when the graphic came up for Eddie and FTR versus the BCC, and I pumped my fist, and then it said Dynamite. I was like, fuck! Fuck! That's a Saturday
Dude,
match.
that match is crazy though, genuinely.
That's incredible. And if it was on a Saturday, it'd be a quarter star higher for the reasons that I outlined. Reasons that are rooted in complete subjectivity and insanity. But
By the way, on slightly less important note, because that was very compelling. Big night for Sammy Guevara and Powerhouse Hobbs. Like they both needed it too. They'd both been just kind of like stalled. And I thought they both looked really good, and like they went for it. The match was actually kind of unhinged in terms of the effort.
They definitely went for it.
I mean, Sammy's generally good at those matches, but I thought Hobbs looked like really sharp there, which is not always the case. I'm a fan of Hobbs, but he's not always would fit that description. So hopefully hopefully it's not a match that we in 3 months just like, remember that thing that never was worth anything, you know? But I thought they both looked good genuinely, so credit to them.
Gotta say, Will Hobbs just power slamming Sammy through things for about 15 minutes is a pretty good match formula. Conspicuous by their absence were Chris Jericho and Don Callis, who I think that worked for the better in centralizing the focus here. And I think it speaks to something that people left this match optimistic as a result of that. So, like Joe said, we'll see what happens. I thought Brian Keith came off very hungry and motivated in his match against Malachi Black. Malachi is I don't really know what to make of him in 2024, to be honest with you. I'm not one of these people that takes pleasure in dunking on like where he's at with wrestling, and you know, I don't even get into the weeds of the discourse of should he be doing singles wrestling. All I will say is he's somebody that I rooted for to just, you know, do well, and he just very much looks like a diminished performer at this state, and you know, it's just kind of tough to pin where he should be right now in AEW. But I thought Brian Keith looked good in that singles match. Mark Briscoe looks to be feuding with the House of Black, and we'll see where that trends and who are his buddies, who are going to be his friends in this thing.
I genuinely think Malachi is, and I don't mean this again because I'm the same as you. The whole singles match conversation is not nothing to do with me, but I do think he's more valuable as a tag team wrestler because he can plug in the offense he still does. And the people do see Malachi as a big deal, right? They do. He has a presence. And I think you saw in those FTR tags, you can use that presence in a tag match where when he tags in, it's a bit of a moment. I think in a singles match, the stuff he does is kind of stretched thin and you see like the physical wear and tear. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree with that. People are speculating that Serena Deeb may be the opponent for Mercedes, and I don't know if that's the case, but if that is the case, I mean, you can do no wrong with that one if you ask me. Mercedes and Serena Deeb would be fucking tremendous. So we shall see. But Collision was just another good episode of wrestling television.
Yeah, man. And we had New Japan New Beginning in Sapporo, which received quite the negative reviews, but we're gonna let Don't Go Alive do that whole review and that whole mess tomorrow. So Don't Go Alive, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m.
Show at the anniversary show.
Okay. What the fuck, bro?
I just wanted to toss that one out.
What the fuck? Yeah, Don't Go Live tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Also tomorrow around about 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Raw review. Jaina, Ibu, Rob. And yeah, keep an eye on the WrestlePurists page. Keep up to date with what we're doing when we're going live, all that good stuff. Appreciate all the super chats. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, man, we'll catch you next time. Peace.